The house had always been too quiet at night, the kind of silence that pressed against your eardrums, making you feel like something unseen was holding its breath in the shadows. That night, as I walked down the creaking hallway toward my bedroom, the quiet was broken, not by sound but by light. A faint, yellow glow leaked from beneath the basement door. That was impossible. I hadn't been down there in weeks, and the single bulb that dangled from the ceiling had burned out years ago. I stopped at the top of the stairs, my hand tightening on the doorknob, heart drumming in my chest. Through the crack of the door, I could see the weak beam of light, flickering like it was fighting to stay alive. A chill slid down my spine. I pulled the door open just enough to look inside. The stairs plunged downward into that glow, shadows shifting across the walls as if someone, or something, moved just out of sight. My breath caught when the light went out, plunging the basement into darkness. I shut the door quickly and stepped back, my pulse racing. The house sank into silence again, as if nothing had happened. Maybe I was tired. Maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. That's what I told myself as I crawled into bed. But just as I pulled the blanket to my chest, the light beneath the basement door came back on. Brighter this time. Waiting. Sleep was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined that glow seeping upward through the cracks in the floor, washing over me as something stirred beneath. The basement light hummed faintly, not like electricity, but like a low breath vibrating through the wood. I told myself it was just an old house acting strange. Wiring issues, faulty circuits, maybe even my imagination. But when I pressed my ear to the floorboards, I heard something worse than silence. Faint movement, a dragging sound, slow and deliberate, like bare feet shifting across concrete. My heart pounded. I forced myself to check again, convincing myself that it would be better to know than to let dread eat at me all night. At the basement door, the glow was steady, pulsing slightly, as if it were alive. I twisted the knob, and the hinges groaned in protest. The air that spilled up from below was damp, heavy with mildew, and something else, a metallic tang that made the back of my throat tighten. The stairs yawned before me, steep and narrow, their edges swallowed by the yellow haze. I leaned forward, gripping the railing, and listened. Silence. No dragging this time. No movement. Just a suffocating stillness. I thought about going down, about proving there was nothing there. But then, as my foot hovered over the first step, the light went out again, snuffed out in an instant. And in that absolute darkness, I heard it. A single, sharp exhale. Not mine. Not above me. Directly below. I slammed the door shut and stumbled back, but the glow returned almost immediately, brighter than ever, forcing its way through the cracks like it wanted me to see. The following day, I tried to convince myself it had been a dream. Maybe I had dozed off in the hallway, half asleep, conjuring phantoms out of exhaustion. But when I passed the basement door in daylight, the knob was warm beneath my fingers, as though someone had recently touched it. That night, I avoided the hallway entirely, retreating to my bedroom early. I forced the TV on, its static glow filling the silence. Hours passed. Midnight crawled closer. Then, with a familiar inevitability, I noticed it, the faint golden shimmer sliding across the crack of my bedroom door. The basement light was on again. I rose slowly, dread clinging to my skin, and followed the glow back to where it always waited. My hand shook as I reached for the knob, but this time I didn't open it. Instead, I whispered, low and trembling, "Who's down there?" For a moment, nothing. Then, a creak answered me. A deliberate step on the stairs. Another. Then stillness. I staggered back, my throat dry. The stories I'd been told about this house rushed into my mind. The whispers about the man who lived here before me, who vanished without a trace. They said he spent his nights in the basement, tinkering, muttering to himself, until one evening when the neighbors heard screaming. The police found nothing but an empty house and a light left burning below. The glow grew stronger now, spilling up the stairs as though the basement itself remembered him, as though it longed to finish what had been started. The floor beneath my feet vibrated gently, almost like a heartbeat. And then, from behind the closed door, came a whisper, "Come down." I froze, my entire body locked in place, the whisper echoing inside my skull. It hadn't been muffled by the door, nor distorted by distance. It was as though someone had leaned close to my ear and spoken from inside my head. The light beneath the door flickered violently now, no longer steady. Shadows swirled in the glow, twisting like smoke. The doorknob rattled once, sharp and impatient, before falling still. I couldn't take it anymore. My fear had curdled into something darker, an aching need to know. With a trembling hand, I pulled the door open. The staircase yawned downward, bathed in the sickly yellow light. I stepped onto the first stair, then the second, my weight making the wood groan. The basement air wrapped around me, wet, metallic, unwelcoming. Halfway down, I paused. The shadows weren't cast by anything natural. They moved on their own, stretching long fingers across the walls, curling and recoiling like they were alive. My breath quickened. At the bottom, I saw the bulb. It swung gently from a ceiling, but the cord above it was cut, severed clean, impossible for electricity to flow. And yet, the light burned. The concrete floor was smeared with something dark, patches that looked too much like old stains. My footsteps echoed across the room, but there was another rhythm beneath mine. Az lower pace, a shuffling sound. I turned toward the far corner. There was something there. Tall, still, its outline blurred by the glow, but unmistakably human. I opened my mouth, but before a word escaped, it began to move. Slowly, deliberately, straight toward me. I stumbled backward, my chest tightening as the figure advanced. The light above seemed to pulse with its steps, growing harsher, whiter, almost buzzing like a swarm of wasps. The figure stopped just short of the light's edge, its face cloaked in shadow, but its presence pressed against me with crushing weight. I whispered, barely able to breathe. "Who are you?" It tilted its head, and in that same voice that had whispered upstairs, it answered, low, steady, and impossibly familiar. "You left me here." My blood ran cold. The tone wasn't that of a stranger. It was mine. The same inflection, the same cadence. It spoke again, clearer this time, like a mirror reciting words back to me. "You left me in the dark." The shadows writhed, crawling up the walls, bending toward me as though dragged by invisible strings. I staggered up the stairs, but with every step, the bulb's glow followed, stretching, chasing, until it washed over me completely. At the top, I threw myself through the doorway and slammed the door shut. Silence. My chest heaved, my ears ringing. I pressed my back against the wood, waiting for the knob to turn, waiting for the pounding of something trying to escape. But nothing came, only stillness. I dared a glance at the crack beneath the door. Darkness. The light was gone. Finally. And yet, when I turned away, my heart froze. Because the faint glow hadn't disappeared, it had moved. The floorboards beneath my feet shimmered faintly, light bleeding upward through the wood, following me into the house, into the very walls. The basement bulb had burned out years ago, and still was on,